Hey, everybody, welcome to KISS.
Keep it simple, sister.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Samantha.
We're doing great today, aren't we?
Yes, we are. This is our second podcast, and sometimes yeah,
Full of ourselves.
we're good. This is good. It's all good.
I keep thinking maybe it would be fun if we just recorded it live right then and there and just put it up, like go live on YouTube and just do live versions of these things and
I'm
throw
all
it
right
out
with
there.
that. Whatever you want to do.
We ought to do that as an experiment just to see what that's like.
Okay. All
I think
right.
that would be
I'm
fun.
down.
So everybody, welcome to the KISS podcast. This is a podcast where we feel great by feeling better, which means Diana and I are blazing the trail for you all to learn about all these tips, tricks, techniques, and products that Diana and I have accumulated, pocketed, learned, acquired, or whatever over the years that has helped us to be these shining examples of light and love and joy and truth and harmony. And at least that's what we want to aspire for.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely.
It's the direction we're going in. And times we shine brighter, and others we doubt ourselves a little bit. And so we're as human as anyone else. And it's a cool process.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
All right. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm very excited about. So Samantha is an author. She's a published author and go up a little higher. And she's published in a new book called Awakening Stories. There's a bunch of people that have awakened, and those are their stories. But we want to talk about awakening and what that's all about.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to know, like, how did this book come about? How did the people that ended up in there, that kind of thing?
Okay. Um, well, it's interesting because so the I do another podcast. It's more of a metaphysical related podcast with Will and Allison Brown. And they it's really interesting because they never know what their next project's going to be. It's like they are so guided by source.
Hmm.
And then they just get a message and they're like, oh, we have to do this. This is it. So and so they're accumulating quite a vast different group of like they've done. I just want to show you all this. And I love plugging them because they're such a neat couple. And if you're not listening to Will Brown's channelings, his free channelings he does on the first Thursday of every month, you are totally missing out, because someday this guy is going to be so highly sought after and people are going to be trying to track him down and not able to get in.
And the podcast is called Out on a Limb Podcast. We
Thank
have
you.
mentioned that in a little bit. Okay.
Mhm. So one of the books they did was Love Notes from the Animal Kingdom that they channeled through Will. And so it's like from a wasp's perspective and a horse's perspective. And like it's
That's
really,
very
really cool. And then they're getting ready to do this course. This is a deep dive. This is not for the lighthearted, just so you know. Like this is like really intense. But it's their book, The Origin Story, and this is rediscovering our galactic ancestors. And it's like a no lie kind of book. I'm serious. It's I'm okay. I'm not going to go deep dive into that one, but it's what makes us who we are as humans here on Earth. It explains our origin as channeled by the 12 galactic races that contributed to our DNA. I'm going to just stop there.
Yeah, and that's a lot. And so
Mhm.
I got the book and I got the workbook and I was going to take the class the first time they did it, and then I didn't because I realized that I was not quite there yet, and I may be quite there by the time we get there because we'll be talking about my awakening, but today we're going to talk about your awakening and all of that. So that's kind of cool.
Well, okay, so they get these downloads to do certain books, and this idea of this awakening story, this anthology of people who have gone through a variety of awakening experiences, was really, really important for her to do because, or for them to do, because no one comes to it the same way. Like it's different stories of how you how you arrived, and what I'm going to describe in just a moment, what it means, but it's how you arrived to this space. And so when you're reading these stories and such vast different walks of life where people are coming from and how this has occurred and everything, you begin to see yourself in it, and you start to realize, oh, I'm doing that, and I'm not crazy, and this makes sense. And it's like, so it's really, um even though we're sharing our experiences, it's to help you become aware of what's going on around you and to find yourself and your own journey within it. So I
That's
am.
so interesting. I'm so glad that they were called to do that. I
Mhm.
cannot wait to read it.
Well, I will have a link on within the description. I don't know if I'm going to have it set up on my website or if I'll have it on the Kiss podcast website. But I will have these, and I think what I'm going to do, and I'll mention it below. I've got to get it, the definite on it. But if people purchase this through me, I'm going to give them, I'm going to sign it, but I'm also going to give them a free mini session with me to ask whatever they want to ask, like, about their awakening and so forth, what's going on in their life, that kind of a thing.
So cool.
So yeah, so I'm kind of excited about that.
So many people
Oh,
are awakening. That's why we decided to do this podcast. And for me, I didn't know I was awakening. I just knew I was curious.
ultra curious, like
Yeah, I'm super duper curious. And after one question gets answered, I develop 14 other ones that, kind of take me in all different directions. So we wanted to kind of define awakening, sort of,
Mhm.
and let you guys know that if you're feeling some of these things, if you're curious, I mean, you're probably here because you're curious about some of it. Um, where to go? Like what to do? What next? What
Yeah,
should we do?
resources, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't have a proper definition for awakening, but it's where you begin to understand that there's something more going on here than just the 3D, what I call muggle life. That there's more to life than just going to work, paying taxes, raising kids, that there are these intrinsic moments that are heightened where you're perceiving beyond what's right in front of you. It's noticing the coincidences that keep lining, or synchronicities that keep lining themselves up one after another. It's how you begin to feel like, um, there is, your emotional state matters, and healing yourself in more natural ways starts to feel more authentic to yourself.
Uh-huh.
So it's all of these different kind of, and it's some, for some people it's that you begin to um, have a knowingness about things, or you can perceive so much more, than your regular senses. So it's an expansion of who you are, and of the five senses into these whole other ways of sensing the environment around you.
And
And
so
this
many
is.
times we have bits in if you go back, I know you all want to go to the beginning of the podcast and watch every single one in
Of course.
order, but if you do, you'll see that there's kind of a little breadcrumb trail of bits and pieces that I've either asked about or we've come up with that kind of fall into all this awakening.
Yeah, exactly. I Man, it'd be nice to get some intrepid like person that needs to earn credits or something.
Oh,
Uh
I'll authorize anyone who wants to do it, and I will give you
Go
credits.
through it and pull that out. Like, what am I looking for? Internships. Uh
Yes,
of
we'll
women
have an
in
intern,
corporate.
and I will give you credits.
My God. Um
Just tell me what
so
you need credits in. I'm all about it.
so with the awakening, the whole awakening experience, when we talk about it, let's go back to, we've talked about ascension, we've talked about how, and I'm just going to say this real quick, how humanity is going through this evolution of from the head space, the masculine, into the heart space, which is the feminine. And it doesn't mean we're all becoming feminine. It means we're balancing this energy out. That we've been in this whole fight for survival for so long and hoarding and, trying to step over one another to get ahead and all this other kind of stuff, where now we're moving into more of this heart space community, sharing, giving, helping each other, support, and all this kind of stuff. And so as we go through this process, there's going to be, contingency of people that do it with ease. There are going to be others that, if you're catching on to any of this kind of stuff, that, they're going to be leaving, they're going to check out. They're just, there's a lot of people who are just beginning to sort of let go of this lifetime because they're not ready or they just don't want to go through that upgrade at this time. And that's all good and that's all okay. Um, okay, so um, getting into the awakening experience for me, because people will say, the typical entry is someone says, when did you know you had this gift? And my response is always, well, I earned it. I worked hard to get this because I was like, I know I can do this too. It was
Mhm.
it was a challenge. It was a lot of work. And I think to some degree, everyone has to hone their craft anyway, whether they're skilled, come into this world skilled with it or not. But we all have the ability. We all can do this. It's just that it's apparently been my mission, my focus, my whatever you want to call it. It's been that driving passion that I've never been able to turn away from. So, um, and when I look back on, and I don't want to spoil what's in here. I want you to read this. So I'm going to just give you bits and pieces. But one thing I realize is I think that we come in, we definitely come in planning our lives out, right? So we know there's certain milestones that we want to experience for our own personal growth. And um, so we have that, and then we have kind of like our mission, what we want to leave behind or do for humanity or whatever. And so I think that through these experiences, we naturally plan things that are going to help us begin to shift and see the world differently. So I think we're prepared a lot earlier than we recognize we're actually awakening.
Got it.
And it's through those hardships. It's usually dark nights of the soul. It's usually through intense experiences where you just feel like, God, you can't give me anymore. Like I can't handle any more load. And then one day you find yourself on the other side of it, looking back, going, "Whoa, that was some shit." Like,
And
that
that
was
had to happen for me to be where I am today.
exactly. And that's when you move into the gratitude for the experience, and that's when the growth, like you finish that cycle,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so you go through enough of that and you begin to look at the world a little bit differently. And you start going, okay, what's going on here? Why am I experiencing this? Oh my God, there's a pattern to these experiences. It's not just a one-time thing, but I'm getting smarter and I'm recognizing this sooner. And, so it's the key is self-awareness. It's slowing down what's happening around and becoming aware of your actions, what you're doing. Like, if you start going, it seems like every time I look at the clock, it's 11:11. Like, how weird. Like, what are the chances that I would look at one clock and it would say 11:11? I can walk into another room and that clock just happened to be set a few minutes behind. So by the time you transit, it's saying 11:11.
mhm,
It's all those synchronicities. And you start looking back going, okay, all of that was happening. There are all of these weird, I met this person and then this experience happened. And, so you kind of wind your way through a series of experiences that keep up leveling you. And and it just gets to the point where you're like, this can't be possible. And people aren't seeing the world the way I'm seeing it. And what the hell's going on now?
yeah,
That's kind of, I think, the overall dynamic of the awakening experience.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Makes sense so far?
Yes, it does, and, so I love this podcast, Next Level Soul, and his question always at the beginning whenever he's talking to any of his guests is, "What was your life like before you came out of the closet? Before you admitted that
Hmm.
this was a thing?"
Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting question for you,
Oh,
to share with us too. I mean, like,
yeah.
did you always know? Did your family always know? What were the clues maybe?
No,
Or
I
how did you feel?
well, okay. I think imagination is the most important thing in all of this because your imagination opens your mind up to embrace e- so much more. Like you think outside the box, right?
Yeah.
So I
And
think
not everybody does that.
no, and so that's huge, and that's a lot of what I work on with my clients
Uh-huh.
is assisting them in working on their visualization and so forth, or their connection with symbology and stuff like that. So I remember, I was not a very good student in school, and that was frustrating. And I think that at that time that I was picking up on a lot of other people's emotions. There was a lot of information coming in, but I wasn't aware of that. Being ADD, my brain just kind of worked a little bit differently. So I struggled, but I still, I went to college. I was this whole thing of I'm a career woman. I'm gonna have a career job. I'm gonna go to the business development meetings, and I'm gonna take the notes, and I'm going to work my way up the, chain of command. And, I had my suede briefcase, and I liked having, the cool looking outfits, and, looking meticulous. And that was a very real thing for me. Um, I graduated with public relations degree. So I really saw myself in this position of, managing corporations, the outlook, how they conveyed themselves, and so forth.
Uh-huh.
And with a marketing background. And so, I was looking at marketing jobs as well and stuff. So I had this whole persona of what I was going to be and what success looked like and all of that. And then I had a series of things occur where every time I would get into a corporate position, something would happen, something would blow up, something would I always got pulled into the corporate intrigue through no fault of my own. I swear to God. It's like, the guy who would be right above me was doing something that was kind of on the side that the main company didn't know about. And then, the company would kind of start to get a clue, and I'd be trying to be loyal to the boss right above me, and then get called in on the carpet, and, and then lose that job, and just like weird stuff. And I started to realize, okay, corporations are not my path. I can't, I'm better off as an entrepreneur.
Well, and
And
that was the universe sending you signals that you didn't listen to at first
this is
or
not for
second
you.
or third, and then finally you did, right?
Well, yeah, and I kind of bounced between the two. Like I would lick my wounds, and I would gather myself together, and I would try it again, only to be smacked back down again. So literally, um, and through my entrepreneurial experience, like at 24, 23, I had my own European bakery that was mine. And then I went through a series of experiences, that ended up closing that down. But it was really good when it was happening. So I've had a business where I was teaching computer skills to kids like in nursery school and kindergarten. So like I've had a lot of independent experience as well. All of it's come together to form, who I am and what my abilities are. But in between all of that, there's this interweaving of metaphysical experiences, there's the like a book being out on the shelf further than the others. And that would be the book that I would just know I got to read that one. Or somebody walking into my life and sharing a concept. And I remember like this one guy, let me give you an example. This one guy I met down in Tampa, and he was like, I don't know how we struck up the conversation, but he said, I'm a walk-in. And I'm like, what's a walk-in? Well, walk-ins are a soul leaves a body, and within it's an agreement that a soul leaves a body and somebody else will step in. And maybe it's a limited amount of time, but they'll continue that particular experience until the body deceases, whatever is how it tends to work. And I didn't know what the heck it was at that time. And I was fascinated. And he goes, "You want to," he says, "would you like to go grab a cup of coffee and talk about it?" Okay. Any sane person is going to say no.
Right.
When I told my mother, she flipped out on me. She's like, "What are you doing? Talking to someone who's obviously around the bend crazy, right?" But for
Obviously.
me, yeah, there's this nudge, this curiosity, just like you've been going through, Diana, this,
Yeah.
I gotta know, what is this about? And so, it's not like I was getting in the car and riding with him, but I met him
Right.
at a coffee shop and we talked. We talked for like 3 hours. And yes, everything he was saying, you would sit there and go, this is crazy, crazy talk, crazy
Uh-huh.
town, as you like to say, you know. And, he's telling me about how he only has so much time here, that he knows things, he's delivering information and he knows things. And he shared all of this information with me. Like it went really deep. And some of it was about government, but most of it was like getting this information out to other humans and other, he didn't use the word, I don't think operatives, but to other individuals, entities, whatever. And it was all for like the, you could say the black hats didn't want people to know. So he's kind of like the white hat, the good guy, trying
Uh-huh.
to get this information out. And the only way he could do it was by being a walk in. And I'm amazed I can remember this much of the conversation because it was so deep and it was so intense. And he said, "My time is limited. I know that within a few weeks I'm going to be dead." And I'm kind of going, okay, that's kind of weird. Um, but after I walked away from that conversation, I didn't remember any of it, none of it. And I realized I can reflect back now and realize he told me all that because he needed to unburden himself. He needed someone to know the experience he was having. And yet somehow he was able to wipe my memory of it. So this had to be not a human person. I'm thinking, is that
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy town, but so interesting. So are you able to, I mean, do you think that that knowledge comes back to you as you move through, and is that part
no?
of your knowing?
Who knows? Because like they say, we get information all the time, downloads in our dreams.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we don't remember, but or like we hear light language, which is a form of communication, and we receive the information on a subconscious level, and it
Okay.
does something for us, but we don't know necessarily what it is. But a lot of people get very emotional from the experience, like truths are being told
Uh-huh.
across and stuff. So I
Well,
don't,
what seems really freaky to me about that whole thing is he said to you, "I'm a walk-in." Like, does someone
and this
so
is
many
back in the
times
80s.
I know, but so many times the walk-ins don't know they're walk-ins, right? Or do they always know they're walk-ins?
Well, and as much as you know, right? Because you've been watching Soul Level podcast and they talk about
Yes, yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was a very specific mission this guy had,
Okay.
or this, I don't even know if it was a guy. I don't know, this being had, was very specific and it was of a limited duration. And he knew that, that there was a specific thing
But
that
in my mind, I'm thinking you're saying he wanted to unburden himself,
I
but
think is lonely,
also,
lonely.
but also was part of the universal plan or your plan or his plan or whatever.
One would think.
You were the person
Yeah.
that he chose to unburden that to because you would need that information or some sort of background as you moved forward.
I've never looked at that way, but very possibly. I mean, it's like a lot of people are having sightings of UFOs and stuff, or
Uh-huh.
UA, whatever they call them.
Yeah.
And they're having these experiences because the galactic beings are beginning to show themselves because they can't allow the government to keep controlling the narrative, and humanity's ready for it. And so, but does that mean you were given a lot of information just because you saw the contact of the ship, or whatever it
Uh-huh.
is? Not necessarily. It's just that it broadens you, it opens, it prepares you for the next level of stuff. Because I mean, that happened back when I think I was starting to do tarot at that time. And then it's like that helped me to think outside the box. So
Well,
I
and
don't remember
what
what it
what comes to me is that they're all pieces of the puzzle
Yeah.
that you needed to
Mhm.
be able to complete your mission, complete your puzzle.
Yeah. I agree. It's funny because that I would choose that on this particular podcast because I don't really talk about it that much. And
You have not told me about that. You've told me about some other things that
uh
have kind of led to this, but that's interesting. Yeah.
well, and my whole experience with this, the galactic aspect of things, I kind of poo-pooed that away. I kind of just shut that down.
Uh-huh.
Like I
But
believe
now
it
you can go
exists.
back to it.
Yeah, now I'm wide open to it. So
Yeah.
I can examine it more
It's
closely.
almost like foreshadowing in a story.
Oh yeah.
Like that's what
Mhm.
keeps happening to you, foreshadowing.
I like that. Well, because then like I have another
On
experience.
to all of us, but you're tuning into it. I
Yeah,
think all of us are getting foreshadowing.
perfect. Yes, exactly. And that is, I keep trying to get people to understand I am not special, meaning I am not.
But yes, you are. But I get it. I get what you're trying to say.
We all have this. We're all experiencing this. It's whether we're acknowledging it, allowing it into our awareness, what it is we're doing with it.
When I think the word allowing is really important
Hmm.
because we talked about religion and family and all of that.
Yeah.
I just know that a few of my friends that I've met recently fought it. Like they had these experiences happening,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Yeah, no, that can't be happening. Yeah, no, no. Am I a witch? What? I no, no." And then realized, okay, this is okay, this is okay, but it's all our programming that doesn't allow us to allow.
Exactly. Okay, so thinking outside the box, like I remember I went through what I call my Celestine prophecy phase. So there's a book out there called by James Redfield, I think, the Celestine prophecies. And there are things in it where it teaches you how to sense energy. I haven't read the book since I was in my late 20s, and yet the book had such a profound effect on me. Like I remember I could look at trees, at plants, at leaves and stuff, and pull the energy from that and and like just re-energize myself, like cleanse myself. And it's something I should do more often. I always remind myself whenever I talk about it. But so anyway, this book just happened to be on the shelf at the right angle. So I chose it. I got into it. I read it. It opened me up to this concept. And then next thing I know, the IT guy is coming in at our this I'm working at a corporate situation. The IT guy comes in and you know, he says something to me and I'm like, "Do you see those leaves out there? How they almost like are sparkling?" And he's like, "Yeah, I see that." Starts a whole conversation and then I find out that he is doing this thing where he's putting um hands on like light, and purifying things and healing and stuff like that, which is,
Reiki
it is similar
ish.
to Reiki.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It's just another way of going about and doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to learn how to do this. Like, so see how one thing sparks the next. And I could go to my mother and say, okay, so the IT guy at work, who she also knew, I'm like, he's going to bring me to Atlanta with him. And he's married, so my mom's kind of going, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, no, he's part of a dojo up there. We're going to go up there and I'm going to experience what this is like to be at the dojo and what this light thing is all about. And my mother's like, you're going to a cult, like she's freaking out. And so we go up there, stay with some friends of his. It's like I don't even remember where we stayed or anything. Like it's just so weird. I got to experience the best peanut butter jelly sandwich in my life because they had done light to the peanut butter jelly. Like the energy in this sandwich was insane. And I'm like, I've got to learn how to do this. So
Uh-huh.
they said, well, a class is starting next week, but you have to be a member of this dojo in order to do this, which means you have to have studied our tenets and so forth. It was
Uh-huh.
kind of cult like.
Healthy. Yeah.
And and I'm like, well, I want to do this. And they're like, well, you are new and you're not a member here, so we can't let you do this. And I'm like, well, who do I have to ask? And they said, well, you can ask the leader of the dojo, but he's usually out of town. And I said, is he out of town right now? And they're like they're putting up all these obstacles, and they're
And
like, well,
you're
no,
not
but
having it.
yeah. Um, and they're like, well, he is here at this time. And I said, well, he meet with me, because I've got a 4-hour drive back. Will he meet with me? And he did. And everyone's kind of going, I mean, people are pissed because they're waiting in line to get into this class.
Yeah.
And I get a sitting with the leader of the dojo who says, yes, I can do it. And I mean, there are people jealous and pissed. I mean, they were talking behind, like they were talking to my friend, like, who is this person? How do you bring her in here? And they're like, these kinds of experiences, they have all been lined up for my awakening process.
Yeah.
Because for me to then learn how to do this, and then I wouldn't follow their rules because I'm a rules breaker. And I'm like, you don't need to carry an amulet. You don't need to do this. You don't need to say these things. You just have to have the intention. And it's like, okay, you're kicked out, because I kept getting into these old paradigm um tools and ways of thinking, and I could see how to break through from them, that we didn't need to have that. And that, again, that's all part of that Aries nature. I want to learn it. I want to learn it fast. It's all part of that. There must be another way. There must be a simpler way, which would get me in trouble at corporate jobs, because it's like, do the job, don't do anything else. And yet there's this drive in me to acquire the skill to do the thing, and it opens me up to that much more possibility in my world. Now, did I take it and make a practice off of it? No, but it
Right.
led my mind into the next thing. That's the awakening process, is
Yeah.
not saying no, going, hell yeah, I'm going to try this with caution, like,
Right.
don't be stupid and put yourself in a situation where you don't, like, I knew who this person was that I went up there with and stuff. Um,
Well,
so
and for me, it's always, wow, that's interesting. That is so cool. Huh. Let me think about that, and I need more information. Oh, okay, that makes it even more interesting and more cool. Oh, and that makes it
yeah, me, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do this because I honor that nudge that I feel. And
yeah,
that's your higher self guidance, which, is the whole point of what we're teaching with the podcast, what I do with my work, what we do with the, life design group experience. It's all about when you move into that better feeling space, you're feeling better because you're more in alignment with your higher self,
right.
which is the true nature of who we are, is this embodiment of the energy of love, which there's higher energies than that. It's just
Yeah.
that's what we're aspiring to. And then you're getting the guidance that's nudging you to even greater, more fun, cool things. And that's the whole awakening process.
Well, and the whole thing, and some of my friends keep telling me that, it's about play. It's like, let's play with this and let's see.
Childlike wonder. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Imagination.
And we lose that. It's beaten out of us over the years, really,
By
because it's
who? By
I
teachers?
remember when I
Yeah,
was
teachers.
a teacher, I
Yeah.
taught 4th grade, 4th and 5th grade usually because I didn't wanna tie anybody's shoes and I didn't wanna wipe anybody's nose. So, I was like that intermediate kind of person teacher person.
Uh,
But I got my master's degree in curriculum and instruction in science. So, I ran a science lab for a while, and I worked with kindergartners all the way through 6th grade,
mhm.
and kindergartners were my favorite because they were the sponges that soaked everything up. They had the childlike wonder. They had the, "Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Let me learn, let me learn, let me learn." Right?
Yeah.
And so I remember vividly that that was one of the times when I was teaching that I was the happiest because I was, even though I didn't want to wipe their nose or tie their shoes, that childlike wonder is fantastic. And all of us need to try and allow ourselves to do that more.
Yep. That is literally the key. Like, children come into this world and they're wide open because it's not beaten out of them yet.
Hmm.
And they tell us about who, their special friend they're talking to, and how they're seeing things in a totally different way. And their imagination is just so beautiful. And then we sit there and say, no, we don't have time for that. You need to get serious. You need to fit these, confining restraints or strain or, whatever.
Constraints.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Words fail me when I get excited. And it's just, it's all about because it's there is a period we're here to experience. So there is a
Right.
period where it's like, this is the what we have created thus far in humanity is this society. And to some extent, you know, you got to get in there and go along with the flow of things to a certain extent. I know there's people that go outside of it and bless them. It's no easier for
Yeah.
them than us, conforming to these
Yeah.
standards. But then you go through your lessons, your experiences, and you get to the other side of things where you can turn more inward. I want to say you can be more selfish because really it's selfish in a good way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's put the oxygen mask on kind of selfish because you've lost so much of yourself. So now
Right.
you arrive in this space going, who am I? What's going on? You've gone through the grist mill. Like
Yeah.
what's left of you. And so you start like picking up, there's a left arm over here that you reattach, and there's a heart over here that you put back, like, and you're
Yeah.
bruised and all this stuff. And then you start to heal yourself from going through that gauntlet of life, and you start looking around you and just going, what is going on here? I remember how this tied to when I was in my 20s or 30s and I experienced this, but I didn't have time then to really explore it. But now
Well,
people
and
are
you
starting
didn't
to
have the
explore it.
right, and you didn't have the time to find the person like I could never have found you who
Mhm.
guides me and answers my questions because you weren't available at that time, and neither was I,
Yeah,
which
you
is
were
really
going through our
interesting, I
stuff.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's happening at a younger age where this awareness and this, like, the Gen Zers have come in totally, well, I don't want to say totally prepped and ready, but they're looking at it like, what is going on in this world? This is too structured. This is too that. And they're
And I think
blazing
all of us questioned that at first, but then we were like, "Oh, yeah, that's not the way it's always been done." And we shut ourselves down
because it's
before
sacred.
anybody else got a chance to because we needed to feel safe
Yes.
and secure, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm. Yep.
Mm,
Got to be a part of the, it's unsafe to be outside the herd. So, uh,
right.
yeah, it just,
And these Gen Zers are their own herd.
yeah, boy, are they ever. Uh, No, in a good way, in a good
Yeah.
way. So it's been, so this whole like, I hope that this gives y'all a good idea. Like I don't want to tell you all my experience. There's a lot of experiences, but I'm showing, in my particular chapter in the
Uh-huh.
awakening story, um, I'm showing the patterns of how I was educated, of how I was awakened. There are some people that it's just like they have a dark night of the soul and then they're just boom. Like, it's almost like what they call a Kundalini awakening, which I'm not going to get into that. But they're just like picking up the pieces of themselves because their whole thing life has been shattered, and they're
Yeah.
seeing the world in a whole new way. And that's a very abrupt and a harsh awakening. Generally, it's kind of you came into this world designing it in the way that was going to be the most receptive to who you are with all of the constraints, family, personality, all that kind of stuff. So you are being supported all the way through. No one's ever abandoning you. You're never alone. I have that saying where I say, remember, you are loved beyond your ability to comprehend
Mhm.
because you're always, always supported.
Well, and I think some people come thinking that that's the only way to do it is with this dark night of the soul or this Kundalini awakening, or it has to be harsh.
Mhm.
And I'm not available for that.
But you've been through harsh stuff.
I
And
have been through a lot of hard
you
stuff, but well, all right.
Well,
Okay.
that was a quick
You're
example,
right. All right.
opening to possibility. Um, well, because generally, if your life has been smooth and easy, I mean, that's where I think the abrupt kundalini, like the abrupt awakenings happen.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, it's like we've been through harsh stuff that has helped us to reevaluate. And so
Yeah.
if you don't go into the bitterness of life, if you don't get caught up, wrapped up in all that, if you instead are on that upswing of gratitude and like, what the hell just happened? And how does this serve me? You know, that is the trajectory that helps you to rise and go above and
Yeah,
continue that awakening process. And it's
true.
almost like you can't help yourself but to go there, but you can choose. I mean, it takes an effort. You can choose to stay mired in the darkness and, and be bitter and frustrated. And that's what we're here to help you make that choice, to help
Right.
support you in the positivity. That's so beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Huh?
Yes, it is. All
Um,
right. Well, have we hit everything we wanted to hit?
yep. I'm going to say if you guys are interested in the awakening story, you can get it on Amazon if you want to zip and get it quick.
Do not get it on Amazon. You get it from Samantha.
Well, there's a benefit. If you order it through me, I will sign it, which again, I just have to say it every single time. Signing to me is like so it's just like my name matters, but I will
But
sign it
your
so you
name
can
does matter. And someday, just like Will Brown, you will be so
famous.
famous
I like
that
famous.
you'll be so famous that everyone will just treasure the fact that they knew you when and you signed that book.
Okay. So right, I'm going to say I don't want to be famous.
Okay.
But I do want to be
Famous.
famous. I do want to be famous. Tremendously famous. I want to be I I want I want to matter to those who take me up on, that holding my hand out, that assistance.
Yeah.
That's what's important to me. I saw a comedian the other night talk about, the three pillars of something like there's power, there's wealth, power, and fame. And he talked about how fame is given to you. Like you don't earn fame. It's like
Mhm.
Hollywood can make someone famous, but they don't automatically become like you can just go, yeah, no, you're setting this person out there, but we don't care about them. So
Right.
it's really a subjective thing, whereas wealth and power are like a whole other thing. Like, so wealth, like I've got a wealth to offer people.
Hmm.
So it's like, what do you do with that wealth?
And I have the power to help
Yeah. See, it's
guide.
whole
Yeah.
different, yeah, when you look at it that way. And that's just a recent thing that I've come upon that I'm like, so no, I don't need fame, but would like this, Anyway,
Yeah.
so if you order the book, back to the book, if you order the book through me, the link will be below, and yes, I will sign the book. But better than that is, I will send you. There'll be a way of you reaching out to well, I guess when you order it, I will send you a link to have. I'm not sure if it's going to be 20 minutes or 30 minutes, but to be able to have a free session with me to ask anything about what you're going through, your awakening process, and you might wait until after you've read my chapter or read some of the book and then have a conversation with me. I don't think this is going to be so much an intuitive thing that I'm offering. It's more about you exploring about what your path has been about, what direction you're going in. I think that's the crux of this. That's really the significant part.
I like
So
that. I like that idea.
yep. So there's the book. And then know that Zen Tarot's coming up in January, starting January 7th, which is the day after I have been summoned to appear in federal court 2 hours away from me to see whether I would be worthy of being on a jury. So that's fun. Um, can't get out of that. But anyway, so that's Zentero's coming up. So pay attention. There'll be a link for that so you can join that. And that's helping you to learn a love language with your guides through the use of tarot.
That's exciting.
And we have our group meeting generally 6 p.m. Wednesday nights. That's the life design group experience where I'll share a concept that will help you get into thinking a little bit more. It goes a little bit deeper, even though I think we go kind of deep in this. But it gives you the opportunity then to ask questions.
And
And
interact. Yeah.
yep, yep. And so that's generally on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m., but sometimes we're going to do it around 12 o'clock on Wednesdays for people who can't always go in the evening, but they will be recorded. So they will be in the group. You got to be a member of the KISS podcast group. And then do you want to mention about the moringa?
Okay, moringa. Moringa. the the moringa. Seriously, you guys. Now, I'm not joking. I usually am joking, but I'm not joking about this. You need to get your hands on some moringa and you need to drink it every day, and you're going to feel great. Um, it has vitamins, minerals, aminos, all that kind of stuff, and it also boosts your immune system. So there's more to it than that. And if you are not following me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to try to do TikTok. I don't even know how, but I'm about to. I talk about some moringa stuff on some of those reels. So if you're interested in getting more information, I did get, I do reels that have a little more information. But also, I'm very funny, and Diddy Do It is part of my thing on reels. And so, and I need followers and I need people to buy stuff and I would like to make money, but money's not really important, but it kind of is so that I can get someone to hang out with my husband so that I can do more podcasts and I can do more reels and I can travel to see Samantha. I mean, like I have plans. And if you'd like to help with that, I would appreciate you following me and buying some stuff.
And it's all for your benefit. I'm someone who uses this stuff, and hands down, it's wonderful. So
It has changed my life, my energy, my sleep, my all of that. The moringa, but also some of the other lab products that I represent
I
and
thought you were going to say
sell.
hawk. Represent.
No.
Okay, well, I think that pretty much sums it up for everyone. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Please comment. We'd really appreciate if you would like,
And spread
subscribe.
the word, share it.
Yeah, all of the stuff, because we're going to do this regardless. But it really
Whether you
makes
want us to or not, we're
yeah. But we do want to be able to get out to a further reach of people who've never heard of us. This is just women speaking to women about,
and thank you to all the Kiss sisters who have been spreading the word
oh my,
to your friends and telling them about us.
yeah,
We appreciate
special
it.
thank you. Like Kathy has been one of those like Uber people. Like she has just been inviting all of her friends, even
She's
against their
building the
wills.
tribe. She's building the tribe.
Yes, helping build the tribe. And then, we've got Lauren and Justin who always show up. They're always there. And I appreciate them so, so much.
Well, and I love the people who comment because, many of them I don't know you yet, but I want to. So
Mhm.
keep on commenting and feel free to, reach out to us, send a little message, whatever.
Absolutely. We are not like untouchable or unreachable or whatever that is.
We're here for you.
Yeah, exactly. And with that,
We'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye.